Am I in, Kara? Wonderful. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the CAYACast. My name is Brad. Today I am joined by Jared over there. I'm joined by Gina, and our guest on the couch is Sanam, otherwise known as Glock Angel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you very much for joining us and spending time with us. What we've been doing lately is getting people to introduce themselves because I like that. So if you were being introduced before a set, before something significant, how would you like to be introduced as both an artist and a human being? Nice and light.
Yeah, great. I would say I am Sanam, also known as Glock Angel. That's my DJ name.
Nailed
it. I am a hip-hop R&B DJ, but that's not the only genre I play. Wow, I was not expecting this. I'm a hip-hop DJ. I'm also a honors student at UCT. Yeah, that's my journey, I guess.
What?
So far.
What are you studying for?
So I'm studying quantity surveying. I don't know if you guys would know what that is.
I mean, in like what department?
Engineering.
Okay.
These are people that puts that fucking tripods on the drive past on the road.
The simplest way is people say we count bricks.
Okay.
So that's our job.
Okay, that sounds like an oversimplification. Educate the people
Count
because we're dealing with misconceptions and inaccurate information. What do you enjoy about what you're studying?
That's a good question.
Have I stumped you?
Do I enjoy what I'm studying is another good question.
Yes.
So I think like growing up in like an Indian home, it's kind of normalized that you will study engineering, medicine, or law. Like those are the three options for you. My parents weren't too keen on law, and I felt like I worked hard in matric, did pretty well. So I was like, I'm gonna go into engineering. My sisters had done civil, so I was like, I guess I should do this. And then my dad was like, because like I have a bit of a different personality to them, so my dad was like, why don't you do quantity surveying? And I was like, what is that? Like I had no idea. So he explained it to me, and like I just felt like it was more suited for me than civil. And then that's why I picked it. I was like, I was honestly in it for the money. That is why I'm studying. If I'm going to study something, I need to be earning well.
Fair enough.
So I was like, okay, if quantity surveying, if the pay is good, I will take it. And now that I'm in honors here, it's not the best way to go about things. I've learned. I have learned for sure.
But I mean, damn, well done for getting to honors.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And having been doing the prolific DJing that you have been throughout, and really building a brand and starting to really establish yourself on the scene. And we were talking about this. What I know I'm walking over stuff that we've chatted about, but when did you first start DJing, and when did you first start really taking it seriously?
Okay, so I started DJing in March of 2021.
Yeah.
I always wanted to DJ, I think since like 2019, since I moved to Cape Town and I got exposed to like the party scene. I was like, I want to do this. I was very intimidated by it. It's a very scary thing. I never thought that I could do it. And then I started working on like a mix by myself on virtual DJ.
Good
the basic way of
VDJ.
starting. And then I dropped that, and that received a lot of attention, more than I expected.
What's it called?
What
is
was
it
it called?
SoundCloud?
It's on SoundCloud. It was called something like hot girl shit. I don't know what it's called.
Can people still go listen
Cheers to that.
can.
We're gonna
okay.
link
Go listen to
it.
it.
Just like everything about you, and then like that release.
So yeah, it started with a mix, and then one of the DJs in Cape Town like saw the mix and listened to it, and he was like, I like it. Come to waiting room and like I'll show you how it works. Oh, and I had gone for like a DJ workshop in 2019. It was like a 1-hour workshop, and it just basically taught me a bit about virtual DJ more than anything. So I went to waiting room, and there were a few DJs there, and they helped me out, which was really nice because like I looking back, they sort of believed in me before I even did. And now that I'm in this scene and like this DJ culture, I understand how deep that is, that they would believe in me without like expecting anything back for that, you know? So I played for that, and then I started playing for like Prime at Waiting Room and just different places. I didn't have this vision in my head of like, I'm DJing so I can start a career and like make it big. I was like, I'm going to be terrible. So I started in, I think I said March, and I was like, oh, I'm only going to play like my first gig probably in September when I've like worked on things. And I think I started playing in April. It was like just
you popped off out of nowhere. I remember. Like what, probably every second, third week at Waiting Room, and you're having, so there's one gig you were like on a rooftop somewhere. Didn't you play at, what was it?
Pantone, there was Levi. Pantone, and then there was, the Pantone one's the one you're thinking of, because I remember as well. Yeah, no, I mean, and how's that been balancing that with your studies? Because I think it's something that a lot of people in the industry at the moment can strongly and painfully relate to.
It's been very challenging, but I'm very proud that I went through this. I don't regret it. It tested me a lot. I had to be strong. I think also studying something that's so STEM focused and then doing this creative thing on the side, when you're with creatives, you feel like, oh, there's a STEM thing I need to attend to. And when you're with STEM people, they don't get it at all. And they think that this is a waste of time. Like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. I've seen it in class lectures, for example. So it was kind of hard to not get sucked into either of them too much, and like having to, because I fell in love with DJing, and I fell in love with like playing at different venues, picking up new gigs, meeting new people. I especially like playing new genres. That was something I really liked. And so I felt like I was starting to lose my priorities with school. And it was very hard to like pull myself back and be like, you have to get this degree. You can't spend money on a degree and then not get it. So that's the hard part, but I'm glad I did it. I don't regret it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people can relate to the trying to balance between a career or, you know, and a creative pursuit, and also the whole thing, particularly in STEM, and it was something that I was going to study, of the kind of misconception that it's not creative and there's no, you know, space for that. And, you know, starting to have conversations about where creativity needs to, and STEM should be hugely creative, and it is. And a lot of, you know, people feel like they can't claim to be creative when they're working in those kinds of fields, but it's hugely creative in so many different ways. It's just, and I think it's an issue we have with like having a very traditional view of what creativity looks like and what are creative disciplines, and then it means and then a societal issue of undervaluing what those traditionally creative things are. So we just undervalue creativity at large. What do you enjoy the most about performing, being on stage, DJing? What is it for you?
I like I said, I like challenging myself, and I like, for me, when I DJ, my style is that I need to know the crowd is enjoying themselves. I know a lot of DJs say like you should play for yourself, but that's not my approach. I need to know that I want everyone to have a good time. I don't want people to come to my set and be like, okay, when is the next DJ coming up? Like, I want to leave. I want to be able to take pride in what I'm producing, and I'm not going to be able to sit there and be like, well, I like it, you guys can take it or leave it. And I think something that has helped me a lot is I really, really value honest criticism. So if someone books me for an event and they tell me like, listen, you could have done better, which has happened to me before. Someone told me like, I know what your standard is. You killed it last time and today you're a bit off. And I value stuff like that because it pushes me. It keeps me going, and it makes me think like, wow, what next? Whereas when I play and I start playing like for regularly and it's sort of the same set, I kind of get over DJing. Like the passion gets lost in that, in the sense of like it becomes so repetitive. It's like, okay, let's go, let's play this. I might as well play the same set. Like it's not inspiring me. But when I'm able to diversify, take on new challenges, play for different crowds, different age groups, different cultures, backgrounds, genres, that excites me. That keeps me going, because it's like, wow, there's a challenge here, and it's something that I need to prove to myself. So yeah.
You traditionally DJed hip hop and R&B, but you mentioned you really enjoy experimenting with other genres and other music. What genre are you enjoying exploring the most at the moment?
Afrobeats, definitely Afrobeats. I went through a house phase as well, which was something that I never thought I would go through, because like I know in my teen days I was very much a hip hop trap girl. I was like, I'm never listening to house. I don't get it. Where is the lyrics? Where's the rap? So I did go through a phase where I was really interested in house. I still am. But I think Afrobeats was something that really just took my heart away, because I was like, this is something that I wasn't really exposed to that much growing up. I never saw the appeal. And then I remember I played for the other radio in December last year. And like, it was a very good time in my life. Also it was summer, school ended, it was the holidays. It was like, I was just having a great time. And I remember that was my first set for them. And firstly, I was really proud of that set, and the day was great and everything. And that was the first time I played Afrobeats. And thankfully, like when you play on the other radio, it gets recorded. So I could like always go back and listen to it and be like, oh, I remember that feeling on that day. So Afrobeats like became very personal to me.
That's
That was
really
a
cool.
Good answer. I have more, but I'm aware that I'm kind of steamrolling into this, so I want to open the floor.
I want to know, like, how would you describe the art form of DJing to like people that think it's just putting on like a playlist and like sitting back?
Just pushing buttons, man.
Well, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking I can make a set list of 20 to 30 songs, right? I can give you that same set list and tell you like, this is how I play. You go out and play this. It's not going to be the same. It could cause two very different reactions to a crowd. They could hate mine, they could love yours. They could love yours, they could hate mine. And that in itself goes to show that it's an art, and that everyone does it differently. Everyone has their own style. Everyone has their own way of expressing themselves when they DJ. And you'll never be able to produce that same set again. Like that in itself is an art form. I'm just trying to think how else I can put it, because I was thinking about something and now it's like gone.
Of course. At the moment it needs to be there.
It was like sitting right there and then it just disappeared.
Or maybe like for people that don't really understand even like what goes into DJing, like the technicalities behind like creating.
Like mixing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remembered what I was going to say. What I was going to say is that everyone has different styles of DJing. I think mine is very like hard beats, hard hits, impact type of DJing. I like that shock value. I like when the crowd goes like, whoa, you know. And a lot of other people like theirs to just be like seamless mixing. And so it's different for everyone. And in the sense of like, you can be technically 100% skilled. You can have the best technical skills when it comes to DJing. But if you can't send a message to your crowd, they aren't going to receive it that well. And for me, it's like, yes, you need to put out this art form for yourself, but it's also for other people. And I think like you'll often find that DJs that aren't the most technically skilled, but they bring this sort of energy and personality to DJing, they flourish, and like the energy is good. I think it's also a lot to do with the energies of people. You see DJs that are great technically, great song choices, everything, but then they come and they play and they're just like,
it's flat.
don't look at the crowd, don't really move around, just standing still. And no matter how good you're playing, that kind of, you know, it kind of lowers the energy in the room.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was taught, like on that first day that I went to waiting room, and I think it was Fish Parcel. It was Fish Parcel that like told me like, you know, come, we'll show you how it works. I'm not sure if it was him that said this because there were a few DJs there, but someone did say like, the main thing about your set is your energy during that set.
Yeah.
You need to also be able to sell this.
Yeah.
You need to be able to sell like your vision and your brand and what you represent. So of course your music is going to relay that, your mixing is going to relay that.
Yeah.
But you also need your energy to keep up with you.
Yeah. It's a performance art as much as, you know, and I think that is often the difference between a good DJ and average DJs. Technically it's, and the same goes for live music at large and music performances at large, you know. Technical capacity is one thing, and technical capacity is frankly like what gets your foot in the door. And being able to do all sorts of fancy shit, and you know, like people aren't that interested in your ability. Obviously it's impressive when you, but again, it's impressive when you sell it well. It's not impressive if you just sit there doing technical shit but no one understands it, or no one can feel that you're enjoying it. You know, I think that's the thing. I think DJs, it's so easy to see when a DJ's there to play a set versus when they're there to enjoy themselves.
Yes.
I think it's because there's nothing to hide behind. There's, you know, on visually it's just you. It's just the upper part. No one can see what you're doing on the deck. No one, even a guitarist can at least fiddle around and you can see what's good. But when you're DJing, it's just you. And it's very easy to see when someone's not there to really connect with an audience. They're there to tick a box. And
like the impact of a low energy DJ is like definite on the crowd.
I mean,
I would say.
In my opinion, I feel like there's two different like types of crowds to say, like it, like especially when it comes to different sorts of music. Like maybe at like, let's say a hip hop event, people are going there just to like have a good time, listen to good music, not really focused on like, let's say your technical abilities of mixing from this song to that song. But like I've gone out to like techno events, right? And the DJ, like he shows no emotion, nothing. But when he does something like on the decks and you're like, fuck, that was insane. But he's like so zoned in, so focused. He doesn't even like, probably doesn't know where he is really. Like he's so locked in. And for me, like that's also very impressive compared to a DJ like show. Like I mean, they each have their own positives, but like
it's
that
very
for
much
me,
a balance of the both. You know, you also can't have someone who's full energy and having a great time and whatever, but the sets, you know, and I think. Yeah, and obviously different audiences, you know, require different things.
I think it's also about reading your crowd, reading the room. I mean, you're not going to go to like a corporate event and start playing like hip hop bangers with like swearing all over the place. Like you're not going to do that. So if you're playing for like a bar, for example, the vibe will be a bit more chilled than a club. Like you'll know these things. But I think when I say like energy, I just mean your presence there.
No, I get you.
It always makes a difference when you show the crowd that I'm not here to just get paid. Like I'm here because I want to show you what I can do. I can produce this art form for you. But I will also say that like when you play a lot, you do reach points where you're like, I just need to get paid and leave. And especially if you're having a bad experience with those the event owners, the people you've been talking to, you do reach a point where you're like, okay, I'll play for you today because I committed to it, get my pay, and then never play for you again. Like it does happen.
Let's get into that shit because it's on that note. I think, you know, we all work in and around the events industry, and you know, I don't think any of us would be here if we didn't broadly love it. But you know, as with anything, there are problems. You can probably turn my gain down a tiny bit. Actually, no, that's better. That's short. And it's important to talk about what those things are. What has been your biggest, kind of stumbling block or common experience that you feel has really limited your growth or enjoyment of working within the industry? What's the biggest kind of dampening factor been?
I would say there's two big ones.
Give them both.
First one is being underpaid. You tell people in Cape Town this is your rate, and they will be like, this is a budget, and the budget will be half of your rate. And if you want me, this is my rate. I think I tend to be very like understanding, and like I will be like, okay, I can play for this amount this time, but if you book me again, like it can't be like that. And it's just that continuous battle of just pay me for what I'm worth. I'm not asking you to go above and beyond. I'm asking you to pay what I believe is my value's worth. And so I think that's definitely a big problem, because you reach a point where you're like, why am I trying? I could just go and play a set for you that I have prepared months ago, not care about how the crowd feels about it, not care how I feel about it, get my pay and leave. Like, if that's, because if you're going to treat me that way, or not just me, but DJs in general, it's exploitative, you know? Especially this thing of like, oh, you'll get paid in exposure. Like, yes, in some circumstances, exposure can get you to places. But when you're in a position where you can afford to pay, and you choose to either underpay or pay in exposure, it's just, it's saddening to the whole creative community. And so that's one of them. The other sort of hindrance would be, what was the other hindrance? Wow, I'm going blank.
While you think on that, and I think it's just worth like picking up on the point of, you know, the play for exposure, exchange of value thing. It's and we deal with the same thing. It's, you know, this is what you do professionally. You're worth, and clearly you value it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having the conversation with me. I think often people just, a big part of the problem is people just have a massive misunderstanding of what creative services are worth actually, and what they cost actually, and people have an issue with that, which needs to be rectified. And also just the exchange of value thing, because we also, you know, we work in an industry where sometimes, especially, you know, you want to support something, or, you know, there's something you want to work with, and there isn't cash to do it. But cool, if you come to the table with an exchange of value, what is the exchange of value? Make it tangible.
Yes.
You know, cool, you're providing me with a service as well that is equivalent or complementary, or, you know, and that's worth this much. Cool. That's that's an exchange of value. Right now, you know, you don't that's fine, but make the exposure tangible, because saying, you know, you'll get paid in exposure, sometimes getting paid in exposure is 100% worth it. If you're getting exposed to a much bigger audience, and, you know, there's a lot of strategic value to it, that's why we all do it. But exposure is relative, and it's not like a blanket thing that just ticks all the boxes. And I think even if, you know, and for event venues and whatever, it's like, if you go to an artist saying, hey, I don't have the cash to pay your full set fee right now, I'll pay you this and give you all of this, and this is how you know, people will take that so much more seriously, because then and so much more likely, because you're going, okay, cool, I understand, because sometimes there just isn't money. That's just the reality. But I can see that you've put in the work to come up with, you know, an alternative and a way of compensating me, that you've at least thought about, hey, I can't, you know, pay. I'm not going to just straight up undervalue you. Here's my offer of a way to do that. It's just so much more respectful as a way of approaching someone who is a service provider. And, you know, it's a weird thing of, do you relegate yourself to being a service provider? And it's like, no, I'm actually just appreciating my value as a service provider, and that is what I do, and it has value. So thank you for treating me like a professional and coming with a alternative offer that, you know, might not make sense, and that's fine. That's your choice on what the value is. But it's just so much more, you know, realistic and respectful.
I also just think that whenever you enter into any sort of creative field, whether it be DJing or, singing, whatever you want to do, you tend to get excited by the fact that people want you, people are giving you opportunities. And so when you start receiving these opportunities, you will take any that you can because you're like, oh my God, I'm getting a platform to at least do what I want to do. And so in the beginning, like for me with DJing, I would take any gig, like even if they weren't going to pay me, if they were going to pay me like a very little amount, I was just excited to play. And I think you reach a point where you're like, I take what I do seriously and I need that to be reflected by the people that I'm working for. I'm not okay with like being underpaid. And I think it ties into the second hindrance that I was telling you about. I remembered it now. But it's another thing that deters people from continuing with their passions with DJing or causes them to lose a passion is a problem that I don't know if it's the whole of South Africa, if it's the whole world, but definitely in Cape Town there's an issue of people just not paying you after they have promised to pay you.
Yeah, now that's wild. Fucking more absolutely ridiculous. We're going to pause for a second. I find that very funny. Every time I see shit like that, I'm like,
it's so hurtful to hear that. It's like,
and you owe me money. I know you fake fucking
and they just come with a
life.
Different story every time of like,
oh yeah,
no,
it's
anyway, is it rolling?
Are you filming? You can start filming. If this goes in, it goes in. You owe us money. It's been months, and you're ignoring my very, very gracious treatment up until this point, and now you're just ignoring my messages. So fuck it.
We can always cut it out.
Anyone has an issue with that? Prove me wrong. And
we're not going to cut it out, maybe.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck at this point.
At this point.
Don't you love people building their brand off your labor?
Let's go.
I don't know. We'll have like a little brand.
And by the way, it'll be like 6 months, so I feel
no.
really justified.
Yeah. Sure. This episode might be spicy.
Don't worry, I'm still waiting on pay for like a year now.
Really?
Okay, who's that? We can cut it out if we decide to after.
We can beep you.
So we'll let you know.
Just so it gives us context,
hey?
No, like just say the name
so that we can then talk about the issue and then we can bleep it if not.
It's but the event was by... I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yes.
It was by them and they didn't pay me. And they were only paying me at the time 300 Rand. And they'd refused. And so I sort of argued with it just to make the point of like, how can you not pay me 300 Rand? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of something I was doing more for exposure than for the pay. I was like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's covering your petrol.
And I would keep asking questions like, when am I getting paid? When am I getting paid? I'm on a flight, I'm going to come back, and then this and this and this. So recently I played for them, I played for and I was like, dear God, I don't know if I'm going to get paid. Let me not budget as though I'm going to get paid.
Yes.
And I did.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was like... I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, we'll keep the names out.
But that's one of them.
You know who you are.
Sort 300 Rand.
There was also...
that actually should be at 300 plus inflation at this point.
At this point, you're getting at least inflation.
There was a club that asked me to be a resident DJ for them, which was something I would have had to sign a contract for and commit to. And the pay was really low. I was expected to play for like 3 to 4 days in a week on top of studying. And it would be like 2-3 hour sets. And so they wanted me to be their resident DJ. And then I played for like one of the events and they didn't pay me. And I was like, thank God I didn't sign that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
I'm
wild.
so happy. Yeah. I mean, I always heard of it before I joined.
Yes.
Like this creative scene, I heard of like, oh, people promise to pay you and they don't. And then I was like, okay, that's not going to happen. And it happened several times. So.
Yeah. Well, to answer, like you started by saying, I don't know if it's like a thing here or globally. I can't speak for globally, but it's definitely like
Yeah, it's
It's
such a huge problem, and it's like, yeah, and I think the problem is people in our industry, yourself, we're very we're very understanding of things coming
Very
up.
chilled,
Sometimes I've run events. I know events sometimes lose money. I know that and that's a really hard position to be in, and I have sympathy for that, and I think we all want to be sympathetic to that out of the goodness of one's heart. And I think the problem is now the people who are really the problem within the industry, who the events organizers and the bookers, who are common problems, and we all have these conversations also off microphones. And it's a small industry, we all talk about it, and there are people who have built careers off of systematically scamming people, basically. And defrauding people of money they owed. And that's a very different situation to, hey man, like, can you give me some time to sort out the money? I just, that's a very different situation.
I think it also, it hurts me sometimes because I'm privileged enough to be in a position where I'm still a student. I'm still being supported by my parents. I'm not depending on my DJ career at the moment to support me. And for a lot of people, that's not the reality. And it hurts me because if this can happen to me, I know I can bounce back and survive. But that's not the case for a lot of people. And the fact that these event owners are okay with that, like, they're like, oh, it's money at the end of the day. I need this money. And they're just okay with exploiting people. I don't get it. I've also thrown an event. I think I've thrown like 2. And I don't have like the biggest budget for these things, but I always make sure that I can cover costs. Like that's the main thing. Or I haven't been in a situation where like someone I played for has made a big loss, but if they did and they told me, listen, I'm in a tough situation right now, I can't pay you right now, like I would be understanding to that. But it's the scamming, it's the lies, it's the I'm on a flight, can you give me till Wednesday? All these random excuses.
And then it's Wednesday next year and all of a sudden I think the problem is then these people aren't getting called out, and they get away even because people even won't have private conversations about it, because it's like, and I've had conversations with people in the industry who've these are often powerful people who control a lot within the industry, and people are scared to say anything about them because of the impact of that person's then kind of blacklisting you and whatever. And that's so fucked up. And it covers it goes beyond just, are you getting paid. There's events organizers who have built their reputation, particularly within the industry, is these guys always across the board fuck over these people, or regularly they do this, or where devaluing people and defrauding people of their money is basically part of the business model. But because they've built a business unsustainably, fundamentally on the back of that, people are then scared to be calling them out because of the influence they hold. And what I'm hoping and excited about and starting to see more and more is that as a generation coming into the industry who are more conscientious and more aware of all of these different things, and I think the point you made earlier of I'm privileged enough to be able to bounce back from that, I can handle that, it doesn't critically affect one's life. And I said it recently as well on another thing, is like, that's important to talk about, and it's important to make that and then that's the point, is that just because it won't completely fuck up someone's life doesn't mean it's okay. And the fact that you do it as practice means that you're doing it to people for whom it won't fuck up their life, and you're also doing it to people who depend on that to like put food on the table. And like, it's wrong across the board, but the fact that you are going around thinking that that's the case, and it's just like, you would never not pay these events guys will never not pay the other providers at an event.
Oh,
You'll
you'd be
never
surprised.
not. Well, yeah, okay.
I've
I'm
heard of
using
them
never strongly there.
not
I know.
paying the people who actually work at the door,
Yeah.
who sit there for hours
Yeah.
and collect
Or the
tickets.
technical.
Yeah.
I know of stages that haven't
Or
been
like, I
paid
mean,
for.
you're always probably going to pay like for your alcohol. You're not going to steal it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's
Yeah.
like devaluing like
Yeah.
human.
And it's taking advantage of the fact that
Just cutting corners wherever
yeah,
you can.
the
Yeah.
bar
Yeah.
company have lawyers and will fuck you up if you try and not pay them. So people
Mm-hmm.
always make sure those get dealt with. But then you just are taking advantage of the fact that performers on the, and that's again why I think we need to be having these conversations as amongst one another, because it's true. On using you as a DJ as an example, as a DJ on your own, you have very little power against those more established, the real like the events organizers who. You have very little real power in that other than using your voice individually, but even that can get, can get squashed. The power comes in everyone talking about it and saying, how do we take the industry forward? What do we need to have as policies and practices? And, we're coming into it from an understanding perspective. So, it's not that we're coming into this going, we don't understand any aspect of, so many DJs are events organizers themselves. So let's take both sides of that perspective and figure out what we need to be doing to make sure that everybody eats at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so thank you for sharing your experience and starting to have that conversation.
Yeah, but how do we end up, besides like exposing people, like what measures to be put in place to make sure that, like, do we make event organizers get like certified licenses to run events, or are we going to say, like, let's say you, every time someone books you, you make them sign a contract, like if you don't pay me between this date, it's going to cost this amount, otherwise legal.
But like,
It's just like preventative measures to say, like, you're on top
deposits.
of your shit.
Like, is that like, and
like what do you do?
Yeah, I haven't
Particularly
tried to
successful.
book as a DJ, but
Sorry.
I just got railed there. That needs to get clipped.
I didn't mean like particularly successful in life. I meant
stamped on.
successful at like getting money. Sometimes like really difficult no matter what you try. So like I remember we were talking about like the eventuality of going
At this
to
point,
like
it's just that one motherfucker.
like we were talking about like going to court or like getting lawyers involved, and you said, well, they can just say they can't pay it, and then the court like whatever's
Wipes
it
the
all,
debt,
and then you still don't get paid, which is terrifying.
And that's true. I mean, and one of the questions, like in DJing, is it conventional to get paid a deposit? Is that I mean, the bigger guys absolutely will.
Yeah, the bigger guys, the corporate sort of parties, the bigger parties will pay you a deposit. But when you're playing for like the clubs, the local clubs, they'll just tell you like it's either like send me an invoice or it's cash on the night. Which it's nice when it's cash on the night because you're getting paid. With Prime, for example, I don't ever worry about it. Alex always pays his DJs. He's great with that. Like, that's not a problem. But with the other parties, you send them your invoice, you wait, and you hope for the best. I think for my own mental well-being, I've adopted this mentality of like, if you're going to fuck me over, it's fine. Like, I'm just not going to work for you again, and I'm not going to give you that power of, you need me, I'm a big dog. If you want to go places, if you want to climb the ladder, you need me. I'm not. I always feel like you don't need to be chasing opportunities. You just need to be focusing on your craft, and the opportunities will come to you. So I'm not here to beg.
You're the prize.
I'm the prize.
Yeah.
I'm not here to beg. People who do see my worth and do see my value will come to me. And if you don't, that's also fine. You don't have to. You don't have to get it. You don't have to book me. I believe that I want to go somewhere with this, and I will make it happen regardless. So I think a lot of the power comes in of like just not letting these people have that hold over you. And it's very easy for them to do that to us as female DJs, as feminine queer DJs, because I know there's this sort of mentality with DJing that like you're the female DJ, and you'll have your moment until the next female DJ comes. It's sort of that attitude, Whereas instead of just recognizing you as a DJ, as someone who is doing the same job as all the men in the field, why is it that I have to be this popping person until the next female comes
spot
along? There's more than enough space for all of us. There is no need for this, like, I'm the top female, I can't let any other female come in. And I think a lot of people in the industry prey on that and allow you to think that you need them when you don't. You don't need them at all. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it is, super important that we're having that conversation, and that the point is not that it's, you have to find a female DJ to tick a box. The point is there are a shitload of really talented DJs in Cape Town, in South Africa. A lot of them are women. There's no excuse to not have a balanced lineup. Yeah. That's the point, is not, okay, we have to make sure that we're ticking enough boxes and we're, getting in. It's not about that. The point of it is there's lots of really talented DJs. Lots of them are women. Yeah. And non-women and queer bodies and
have you ever felt like that was the case? Like someone was booking you because they felt like they needed a female DJ?
100%. They've told me that.
And how do you, like, because in one sense, they're doing something good. Like, they're making sure there's a female DJ on the lineup. But in another sense, like, you don't want to play
catch up.
just because you, like, want to, just because they're ticking a box. Like, it's kind of like a catch-22.
I think people do come at it from different angles. I think some people actually do have that good intention of, I want to get more women on the lineup. I want my space to be more inclusive. Come and play for me. That I get, right? Prime is very good, once again. Great example of introducing female DJs. Edition events as well. A lot of these places. Yeah. But then you also get these event organizers who feel that they can still practice sort of abusing their power on you as a woman, and being and sort of having this flirtatious angle of like, oh, we're going to put a woman on the lineup, we're going to put a hot woman, or like things like that. And it's like, okay, you're booking me because I'm a woman, like not because of what I can do. You don't know what I can do.
And not for the advancement of representation and making sure that, we're adequately representing. No. Yeah.
I often feel that it's like maybe for future favors or something like that. Hasn't happened to me, thankfully. But I just feel like men in the industry, you can't really trust them. Yeah. It takes a long time to be able to trust a lot of them. So I think, again, it depends on the angle that they're coming from. Some people genuinely do mean well. I also don't like, at the same time, when people are like, we're booking you because we need a female, because it makes me feel like I'm a DJ. I'm not like just a female, I don't want to be, I want to represent women and do a lot for our community. Yeah. But I don't want to just be known for my identity of being a woman or being a female. Like, there's more than that. I'm more than that. And it's the case for all the female DJs. We're not just females. Yeah. Why don't we say, oh, there's a male DJ coming up on the decks? Like,
Yeah.
So early on at the very beginning, you spoke about, obviously, Fish Parcel, like, taking you under his wing, explaining how things work. I know you've done something similar to that. You held like a workshop for DJs. And have you done the same? Like, have you taken any DJs under your wing?
I wish. You wish? I wish I have. I just think, the problem is with uni this year, my life is just literally waking up at 6 a.m. sometimes, going to lectures, coming home and studying until like 8 p.m. Then I'm getting dressed to go and play a gig, come home at 2 a.m, go to sleep at 6 for uni. That's been my life.
Damn. So you literally have no time.
I literally have not had time this year. I think the other day I spent a day doing nothing, and it was like a culture shock. It was like, what do I do with myself?
Did you get sick afterwards by any chance?
I didn't, but I do think I was very down. I was down bad. I was like, this is not for me. I need to be doing something, you know?
Yeah.
But I also understood that it's just because I'm not used to relaxing and like taking time out. Even today, this morning I had a job interview. Straight from the interview to this, I'm writing an exam on the 28th, so I'm going to study as soon as I leave here until I write that exam. Then I've got like 2 more exams, another gig in that, 2 more gigs, and then my final exam, and then my thesis. Like there's no time. I've wanted to be able to help other people.
Yeah.
People have messaged me and been like, can you teach me how to DJ? Can you help me? And most of the time I'm like, I can take you to waiting room. I can show you the basics and everything, but I can't like commit to seeing
Being a
you every
mentor.
week. There's
Yeah.
just no time. And I think also something that I think we all experience as creatives is that people see the product and think that that's where all the time went without realizing how much time was used in the process. So in the case of playing gigs, I mean, it's also like promoting. It's you have to build a brand. You have to keep your name going and all of that. You also have to prepare a set. Oftentimes, I like taking gigs where I haven't played the genre before, and then I need to do like research. I need to listen to music for days and figure it out and wrap my head around it. What am I going to wear? It's like a whole thing. It's not just like, oh, go play the gig, come home. Like it's a lot. So yeah, I wish I could have taken someone under my wing, but I also think that like thankfully nowadays there's a lot of spaces for people to learn. I know at Ham Shack they have those workshops going. I think at Waiting Room you can just go and use the decks, open decks. They used to do that at Tiger's Milk as well when the Broke Boys were over there. So there's a way, and I always tell people like start with your laptop. It's free. It's the best way to get your basics going. And if you have questions, like I can help you along the way.
Yeah. And thank you for being willing to do that. And I think it's important that becomes more and more culturally ingrained, is this culture of, I was there a couple of years ago. I was there a year ago. I was there 5 years ago. And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes a little bit of empathy and going, and being aware that people are busy and you're busy. And I think people need to come into it with the acknowledgement of that. It's like, hey, I know you're busy. I'd really like to do something like what you've done. I really respect what you do. Can you give me any advice or any time? Or, and sometimes you can just fit in a coffee with that person and that's cool. And if that's what you have time to do, and that's the thing, is you have to respect your own time. And people don't understand all the time that goes into those 2 hours on the decks.
It's so hard in the sense that even with balancing this degree and balancing my creative work, even seeing friends has become something that needs to be scheduled, planned in advance. I now have started a rotation. So I think like, when did I last see that friend? And if they were the friend I saw like the most recently, I will put them at the end of like when I need to see them. Like I will go in order of when last did I see you, because I also don't want my friends to feel like I'm abandoning them. But I was told by like my good friend who did my honors degree, she was like, honors is insane, you have no time, it's difficult, you say goodbye to your social life. And I thought like, I'm saying goodbye to DJing, I'm not playing this year. I was like, once it hits May, I'm done, guys. It's October. I'm still playing. But yeah, that's a thing. Like I can't even make time for friends sometimes, or like my own personal time. That it's hard right now to commit to helping someone else. I just do what I can.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a short little video, how to do this. Message me, or like if I have time, I can be like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you want to link up?
Yeah. 100%. And I think it's just something that we need to be talking about and encouraging and pushing people to do, because it enhances, if nothing else, it enhances your skill set as well. You'll learn from having to teach you'll learn so much from teaching someone else, the basics about your own basics, and about, there's so much value in teaching people that I think people always look at it as, oh, I'm doing this person a favor. It's like, they might be doing you more of a favor than you think, but obviously go into it conscious of your own time and aware and valuing of your own time, because that's important. That's important as well. I was about to check with Kyra how long we were, and I wanted to kind of start pulling things together and talking about some artists, some spaces that you are really excited about seeing, other DJs, that kind of thing. So first things first, who are some DJs that you think people should look out for on the local scene that are doing stuff that really impresses you?
There's a lot, so I'm trying to be like
I know.
very good, very understanding.
As
about this.
What's it? I've completely forgotten the English word for like a disclaimer. There we go. A disclaimer. This is not an exclusive list, and I've put Sanam on the spot, so she's definitely gonna forget some people that she definitely would mention. Don't take it personally. Don't get bleak.
First person coming to mind is Evan Adam. He plays at Waiting Room. Great energy. You can tell that when he's playing, he's put effort into this. He's passionate about it. I think also because he's still new, relatively new. You can see that passion, that drive, that excitement. He's great. Broke Boys, Coins, and Mzwa, they're great. Like, there's no denying that.
Shout out the Broke Boys.
There's a lot of people. Like, I'm trying to actually think about like who I put on that lineup when I did an event, because those were some really good people. Oh geez, I need to think now.
I'll let that one mellow. You can always add people in whenever. And we've kind of touched on them, but I want to take a moment to focus on them. Venues and spaces that you think are really doing good things for the industry and that are giving opportunity to people and encouraging them properly and not just saying, here's an opportunity.
So I think for the 20th time, I'm going to say Prime.
Shout out Alex.
Waiting Room. I think he's started a lot of people's careers. It's a space where it's very inclusive. You know, like, I think he was the first DJ where I closed an event, right? And I think as a female, they very rarely award you that opportunity. So the fact that he did that, there were many times he threw me in the deep end, and I love it. Like, I remember I started with him, and then he was like, oh, next week you're playing a 10. And that was like crazy late for me. I was like, 10? How am I going to play a 10? You know,
Prime time.
So nervous.
Prime time.
So Prime is a great spot for that. Edition events as well. Very inclusive. I think like the beautiful thing about these venues is you see DJs from all sorts of backgrounds, race, culture, age, all of that. And both of those spaces, I think at Hearty and at Prime, they believe in you. And that's the drive behind it. It's not like, okay, we need to like book some DJs, like let's just give them some money and carry on with the day. It's like, okay, I'm curating this space. I need to curate DJs that I believe in and have this atmosphere of passion. So those are really great spaces. I know when like Mzwa and them had Tiger's Milk, that was also a great spot. You could come. I didn't get time to go often because I didn't get time to practice so much. A lot of my like practicing actually happened when I was playing for sets. But it's a great spot that you could have gone and practice at. A lot of people went that I knew. I played for Clubhouse as well, which a lot of people were given that opportunity, which was really nice. Like, it's again another thing of just come, be yourself. Do what you need to do. We don't expect anything from you. Just a great place to grow. I think there's quite a few places in Cape Town that are doing things like that. I just think the problem with Cape Town is not the problem, but like one of the shortcomings of it is that we have such few venues, such limited spaces. I think maybe that's also to do with COVID, but I'm excited to see where it's heading. Like, as you said, with the new generation, a lot of things are changing. A lot of spaces are becoming more inclusive. We're growing, and that's exciting.
Indeed it is. I think I'm going to use that. Do you have a final question? Or I think that was a very nice, very, very nice moment to end off on. I think, yeah, we're here and we're doing this and having these conversations because we echo that sentiment very strongly. And there are all these problems that need to be solved, and we need to talk about them and get them out in the open. But we also need young, enthusiastic, excited individuals who are coming up, who are, capable and ready to do whatever they can to push forward an industry that we all love. And so thank you for being one of those people as well. Thank you for your time and your energy in coming and sharing with us, and for your insights. Thank you so much for watching or listening, depending on what platform you are on this on. A reminder that the CAYACast is available on YouTube and whatever podcast streaming platform you get your podcasts on. Make sure you like it, comment. What should people comment?
Oh, what they think about the new setup.
What do you think about the new setup? Indeed, this was the first podcast in this new setup. What do you think? Let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, share the episode, because we covered some gems and it was a really, really fun one. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow Sanam on Instagram is it at Glock Angel exactly?
At underscore Glock Angel.
At underscore Glock Angel. She'll be linked in the bio. We'll be linked in the bio. You know where to find us. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the CAYACast. Bye-bye.
Woo! Yay!
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much.